sometimes, I mean, you really do have to be a diplomat in a lot of different ways. The bass player, he's got to relate with the rhythm, with the drums, interpreting the time, and I've also got to relate with playing the melody, the harmony, the chord structure with whoever's playing that, whether it's guitar or a piano or whatever. So it's kind of like everything's kind of going through the bass player. I mean, you're really in a position. Sometimes when things are like crazy, it's like I feel like I'm in white water in surf out at Pipeline, because sometimes it's just like, it's all I can do to hang on, and I'm trying to do my best to maintain a semblance of cohesion to it, because really that's bass player's job, is to link everybody together. Everybody needs to listen to each other, but functionally speaking, when you look at the band, there's the drums, the bass, the guitar, the piano, sax and vocals or whatever, and kind of it really does flow right. A lot of it flows through the bass. And I've worked with a lot of singers that go, you know what, I listen to the bass the most, and I mean. And in fact, a lot of people I work with, a couple of singers in particular, they'll just say, let's just do this song, let's do the first couple of verses just bass and voice, and have everybody come in, because you should be able to have the bass and the melody and be able to hear the harmony. So between the voice and the bass, you should be able to hear the time. That should be implied. And then you should be able to hear what the chord structure of it is. If you can't really tell what key it's in or whatever, either the singer's not singing their melody right, or I'm playing the wrong lines or something. If we're doing everything right, you should be able to hear where everything is, with just two notes of voice and the bottom. That's in fact, if you go all the way back to box time, counterpoint, it's just moving bass lines and melodies, and everything else fits in under that. So there's a real responsibility with the bass for outlining both the harmonic structure and for delineating where time is in the band. And sometimes it's not up to you. You got to work with the cards that have been dealt to you.
It's like, do you guys know Jojo Mayer? You guys know who Jojo Mayer is? Go on YouTube, look up Jojo Mayer. He'll blow your mind. He does all drum and bass and breakbeat stuff, and he's phenomenal. But he's got a lot of feel, and that's what's really cool about it. So I think every music it's like Duke Ellington said, there are two kinds of music: good music and bad music. It doesn't matter what kind of music it is. But it has to have that element of soul. My cousin spins. He does a lot of house, techno stuff. He's a DJ, plays around the country. And that was one of the things I loved about what he chose, was the stuff he chose was really flowed nicely, and it had other elements, maybe some like calypso rhythms going on in the background. He would temper that, with something that was a little more groovy, a little more hip, like he would play. If I had a looper, then I could play other kinds of stuff on the top of it. He would bring in other elements. It was really cool. It was like it started to kind of breathe. It started to have life to it. So I think there's that potential in any kind of music, even house and techno stuff. But I think that it's sometimes it misses that element of humanness. You know what I'm saying? Does that answer your question, or does that make sense, or is it? Yeah.
Techno music is, any music is valid, and it, as long as it's coming from what a human being envisioned. I think what technology has brought to the whole thing is now, because we have computers and we have samples and all of these things that can just play by themselves, we just put a few elements together and it goes off like itself, like the the ever ready battery, the rabbit or whatever. And that can be, it has its place. Techno music, I think the main purpose of it is for people to dance. It's that's where that is. And so I think that a lot of what that is, the creativity in that, is by watching the dancers, But that's not to say that we can't make techno music human. You know, if we're just turning on a machine and letting it go, and you know, and plugging in certain parameters and just letting it happen, then we have kind of, to a certain extent, removed the human element, and there's going to be a lot of sterility to it. But you can have, you know, like one of the coolest things that I've seen, like, is maybe you've got some samples going. Like a good friend of mine, his name is Shannon Higa. He's a trumpet player, and he does, you know, a lot of hip hop stuff, hip hop groove stuff. But he does like tunes that are, you know, maybe more jazz oriented, maybe not necessarily jazzy, but he's adding he's soloing over it. So there's a constant. You know, he's using the techno beats and the hip hop beats as a framework, as his wave to surf. You know what I mean? So the human element is definitely there. I think that you can utilize that, and it's just a matter of time. Music evolves, and there's going to be, you know, there's always going to. Now we've got the ability to have computers do everything for us. But I think as long as we're tempering that technology and not losing our element of humanity, then it's okay, man. And it's all a matter of what you like. It's taste, you know. Whether you like it, it's fine. I may not like it. That's okay. It doesn't mean I'm right. It's my opinion, you know. Nobody's right. It's all good if it feels good, you know. If I don't like it, I don't have to listen to it. And that's okay. That doesn't mean I think you're a bad person because you like it, or if you're less of a musician because you like that style of music. I think the more styles of music you can enjoy and incorporate into your musical being, the better musician you're going to be. So, you know, I think we all got to keep our minds open, you know, whether it's country music or classical music or Hawaiian music or whatever. I mean, it's all brought me joy, everything I've ever played, you know. I would be a really burnt out person if I hadn't attempted to embrace other different styles of music. You know, I mean, I grew up playing rock and roll. I mean, I wanted to be Jimmy Page in the worst way when I was a teenager. But then I got into playing music in Waikiki, and I had to learn how to read music and you know, played jazz standards and all kinds of stuff. Before I knew it, I was a changed person without even thinking about it, just by the attempt to try and reach out and understand things. And my whole musical journey has been one about trying to be open and you know, take in whatever that's out there. And there's so much music out there, you know, Latin music from other countries. You know, you go to our music, which is based off the Western scale, you know, 12 notes. You go to like the Middle East or go to like Indonesia or India, and they've got stuff that's like just, it'll bend your ear, you know, and the way they interpret time and stuff is just like, no idea how to be able to count it. You know, go down to Tahiti, all their 280 beats, ridiculous. It feels great. If I could try to explain to you how it goes, it would take me a long time. But it's all out there. The world is full of music, and it's all good because, why? Because it comes from human expression. And so I think, you know, all of it's good, man. It's just a matter of keeping it real.